What if everything you've been told about aging is wrong? What if the key to a longer, healthier life isn't hidden in genetics or miracle drugs, but in the choices you make every single day? Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity by Dr. Peter Attia is not just another health book. It's a radical rethinking of how we live, age, and die. In a world where chronic diseases like heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes seem inevitable, Attia makes a bold promise. We can outlive them. Not through luck or late-stage medicine, but by taking control decades before symptoms appear. Drawing on cutting-edge science, personal struggle, and years of medical practice, Outlive offers a roadmap to not just extend your lifespan, but dramatically improve your health span, the years you spend feeling strong, clear, and fully alive. This is not a story about how to survive. This is a story about how to thrive, how to train your body, your metabolism, your mind, and your spirit to beat the odds and own your final decades. In this video, we're going deep into Outlive. We'll break it down part by part, exploring the 4 horsemen of chronic disease, the core levers of longevity, and what it really takes to live well for longer. Stay with us, because this isn't about the science of living forever. It's about learning how not to waste the time we do have. Part 1. The Long Game. We begin with a confrontation. Dr. Peter Attia opens with a bold claim. Modern medicine, or what he calls Medicine 2.0, is fundamentally broken when it comes to dealing with the diseases that kill most of us today. It's great at fixing trauma and infections, but it fails miserably at preventing or treating chronic diseases, the ones that build up slowly over decades, silently eroding our health until it's too late. Attia introduces what he calls the 4 horsemen of death: heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's, and metabolic dysfunction, which includes type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. These are the primary causes of mortality and morbidity in the modern world. The real problem? We don't die quickly from these conditions. We die slowly. And the years before death are often filled with frailty, cognitive decline, and suffering. That leads us to a new concept: health span. Most people focus on lifespan, how long you live. But Attia urges us to think about how long we live well. To visualize the problem, he introduces the idea of the marginal decade, the final 10 years of life, when people often lose their independence. Imagine not being able to carry groceries, walk without support, or play with your grandchildren. That's what he wants to prevent. His goal is to compress morbidity, minimize the number of years spent in decline, and maximize the years of vitality. He talks about how most people believe aging and decline are inevitable. But he challenges this view by showing how the diseases of aging are not inevitable. They are often preventable, or at least delayable. He likens aging and disease to a slow-moving train. You can't stop the train, but you can slow it down. Attia then traces the evolution of medical thinking from the reactive model of Medicine 2.0 to the forward-looking model he calls Medicine 3.0. This new model focuses on prevention, personalization, and proactive strategies. It values outcomes over procedures, metrics over symptoms, and lifelong health over short-term fixes. He offers the story of a patient who, despite having normal cholesterol, suffers a massive heart attack. The lesson? Standard lab tests often fail to predict future disease because they measure symptoms, not root causes. We need better markers, better screening, and better strategies. The chapter ends with a critical insight. We must begin planning for the last decade of life long before it arrives. That means action in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, not waiting for a diagnosis in our 70s. Part 2. Medicine 3.0. In this part, Attia digs into what Medicine 3.0 actually looks like. It's not about waiting for disease to happen. It's about preventing it entirely, or at least delaying it by decades. He redefines risk, not as something that comes later in life, but something that accumulates silently over time. Take atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque in the arteries that leads to heart attacks and strokes. Most people think it's a disease that hits suddenly. In truth, it begins in your 20s or 30s. It's invisible for decades until it's too late. Medicine 3.0 means identifying and reducing this risk now, long before symptoms appear. He introduces ApoB, a protein found in the most dangerous cholesterol particles, LDL and VLDL. Measuring ApoB gives a much clearer picture of cardiovascular risk than LDL alone. Yet many doctors still don't use it. Next, Attia addresses cancer, which he sees as more biologically complex. While cardiovascular disease can often be modeled with risk equations and biomarkers, cancer remains elusive. But there are patterns. Insulin resistance is associated with higher cancer risk. So is chronic inflammation. And while we can't always prevent cancer, we can reduce the odds. He discusses screening, its benefits and limitations. Early detection is vital, but screening should be personalized based on risk factors like family history, genetics, and lifestyle, not just age. The third horseman is neurodegenerative disease. Cognitive decline doesn't start when you forget your keys. It starts 20 or 30 years earlier with the accumulation of tau and amyloid proteins, insulin resistance in the brain, and disrupted sleep. By the time symptoms appear, the brain has already changed. Preventing Alzheimer's, he argues, starts in midlife, with sleep optimization, metabolic health, stress management, and aerobic fitness. Most of us think we'll deal with cognitive decline when we're older. Attia's message is clear. If you wait, it's already too late. Finally, he addresses metabolic dysfunction, which he sees as the silent root of most chronic disease. Metabolic health isn't just about weight or blood sugar. It affects how your body handles energy, recovers from stress, and resists disease. The signs of insulin resistance, high fasting insulin, poor glucose tolerance, abdominal fat, can appear long before blood sugar is out of range. Attia emphasizes that you don't have to be overweight to be metabolically unhealthy. TOFI, thin outside, fat inside, describes people with high visceral fat despite normal weight. Medicine 3.0 is about catching these patterns early and making targeted, long-term changes. It's not flashy. It's not easy. But it's how you outlive the odds. Part 3. The 3 levers. Now that he's laid the scientific foundation, Attia turns to the tools, the levers, we can use to change our trajectory. These are exercise, nutrition, and sleep. He calls them the 3 most powerful tools we have to delay the onset of chronic disease and extend both lifespan and health span. First up, exercise. According to Attia, exercise is the closest thing we have to a true longevity drug. It improves every marker of health: insulin sensitivity, cardiovascular function, cognitive resilience, and emotional well-being. He breaks down fitness into 4 domains: stability, strength, aerobic efficiency, and anaerobic performance. We need all 4 to age well. He introduces the concept of the centenarian decathlon, a personal list of physical tasks you'd want to be able to do in your 90s. These might include picking up a child, carrying luggage, or climbing stairs. Then you train backward from those goals. The question isn't, can I lift heavy now? It's, will I still be able to do this in 50 years? Attia advocates for Zone 2 training, sustained, low-intensity aerobic activity that burns fat and builds mitochondrial health. He also recommends VO2 max intervals, short bursts of high-intensity work to boost cardiovascular capacity. Strength training, he says, is non-negotiable. More muscle means better glucose disposal, more resilience, and greater independence. He recommends lifting heavy, focusing on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and presses. Second lever, nutrition. Attia doesn't offer a universal diet. He dismisses fads and tribalism. Instead, he focuses on outcomes. The goal of nutrition is to support muscle, optimize energy metabolism, and minimize insulin resistance. He emphasizes the importance of protein, especially as we age. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, is a major threat to independence. Attia recommends around 1.6 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, spread across meals. He discusses fasting as a useful tool, but not a religion. Fasting improves insulin sensitivity and cell repair, but only if it supports your goals. For some, it's powerful. For others, it's unnecessary or even counterproductive. He highlights the danger of ultra-processed foods, which override satiety signals and drive overconsumption. His general rule: Eat whole foods, minimize refined carbs, avoid sugar-sweetened beverages, and structure meals to support energy and protein needs. The third lever, sleep. Attia calls sleep the most undervalued health habit. Sleep deprivation increases cortisol, disrupts insulin, impairs memory, and accelerates aging. Even one poor night of sleep raises blood sugar and inflammation markers. He focuses on sleep architecture, deep sleep and REM sleep, and the importance of consistency. Go to bed at the same time. Avoid blue light late at night. Keep the room cool. Limit caffeine. Optimize the wind-down routine. He acknowledges that sleep disorders like insomnia and sleep apnea are common and must be addressed through CPAP, cognitive behavioral therapy, or medical evaluation. Together, these three levers, exercise, nutrition, and sleep, form the bedrock of longevity. They're not easy, but they're the foundation. Part 4. Putting it all together. In this final section, Attia addresses the mental and emotional side of health. It's the part that's often neglected, but for him, it's personal. He opens up about his own struggles, perfectionism, emotional repression, the burden of achievement. He shares how therapy changed his life. He realized that emotional health isn't separate from physical health. It's deeply connected. Chronic stress, unresolved trauma, poor relationships, these all drive inflammation, poor sleep, and metabolic dysfunction. The mind-body connection isn't abstract. It's biological. He discusses the importance of connection to others, to purpose, to self. Longevity is not just about avoiding disease. It's about living meaningfully. He also talks about data. Attia is a fan of tracking biomarkers, blood tests, CGM data, VO2 max, strength metrics. Not because numbers are everything, but because they give feedback. They let you course correct early, when it still matters. He encourages readers to build a personal strategy, a custom plan that aligns with your goals, genetics, and values. Medicine 3.0 isn't one size fits all. It's adaptive, flexible, and deeply personal. As the book ends, Attia offers a final challenge. Stop thinking about dying. Start thinking about living. What do you want your 80s or 90s to look like? Are you training for that version of yourself today? Because the real goal is not to outlive others. It's to outlive disease, outlive dysfunction, and outlive regret. It's to arrive at the marginal decade strong, clear, and present. In the world of outlive, longevity is not a gift. It's a skill, a discipline, and above all, a choice.